Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Today is February 21st, 2024. And first off, before we get into today's show, I want to give you kind of a snapshot into tomorrow's show. Because I looked into stellarium just to see what the sky would look like during the eclipse this year. And I just about fell out of my chair. This is the eclipse on April 8th, and literally all the planets line up around the eclipse. The Pleiades, the comet, the devil comet, Jupiter, Uranus, Mercury, the sun, the moon, of course, in the eclipse, Venus, Saturn, even Neptune is in here, and Mars, all lining up in a line against the backdrop of the eclipse on April 8th. Now, I don't know what all this means. All that I know is I can't remember any time in history where this has happened. Of course, you won't be able to see these planets until the sun darkens. And I can only imagine what that will look like for those of us that have clear skies during the eclipse. You're literally going to see a string of planets. Wow. So that we'll get into that tomorrow. And in more detail, because I want to put it in the proper context. I want to make sure that we all can take a look at this, and against the backdrop of some comet videos that we did going back to 2013. So I'm in the process of editing a bunch of our comet videos going back to 2013. And I was doing that this morning, so I was a little bit late to the show, and I could not believe what I found during the editing process in the initial videos that we did from 2013. Many of you will remember many of those videos in which we were talking about Comet Ison, and we were talking about black doors, red doors being painted black, and also comets bringing disease. We're talking about all this in 2013. This was 11 years ago. So I sound much different, much younger, but I just pulled these videos right off the channel. And so I'm gonna edit that together. It's not going to be too long of a show, but I'm putting together all the information we had on it. There are even hints. We called it the It back then, so that's weird. And also, there's lots of 7/7s going on, which seems to have signaled the Trump presidency before it happened as well. But let's do today's show first. We got to stay in order here, right? Let's get into today's show, because we're going to get into some new developments pertaining to Neuralink. And I couldn't even believe this. In an experiment, they are saying, this is a Reuters article, they are saying now that a Neuralink test subject was able to move a mouse with their thoughts. Now, the implications of this are chilling. Some things that come to mind are mind control and programming, mental programming of people. You guys, this is the first step in consciousness transfer. This will be what the enemy offers, everlasting life. Now, here's what I think is going to go down here. Here's what I think is going to happen of how they're going to offer this. They're basically going to say, we can bring you into an alternate reality. This is what they're going to say. And in that alternate reality, we can slow down time. In other words, seek to change times and laws, which is what the Bible says. Now follow me on this. They will say that, hey, we are constrained by time. Your body only has a certain amount of minutes ticking on it. But we can bring you into an alternate reality that will seem even much more real to you than this reality. And in that reality, we will slow down time and it will feel like you are living forever. And this may be what the Bible was talking about they will seek death and not find it. Because these people would literally be locked in their prisons and it will feel perfect, but it will be a do what thou wilt reality because there are no real victims in the alternate universe. And maybe this is why this whole metaverse thing came about. It's to get you plugged into the alternate universe. Now, I learned a lot about the online reality and these alternate universes through my son, who was into this gaming world and spent so much time in this world. And it saddened to me that he was stuck there, imprisoned. But now it all begins to make sense. This is where they want all of us. This is why gaming is so important to the enemy and the control mechanism, because eventually they'll all have us in a simulated reality. It'll be like the Matrix. We'll be laying in people that choose this will be laying in pods, plugged in, and it will feel like they are living in eternity. It'll feel like they're living in eternity because time will be slowed down through the algorithms. And so Neuralink is the first step in this. It's using your mind to control things. They'll put people in a beta state and people will sign up for this because think about it. What's the difference? You're already in the gaming universe. You're already putting on virtual reality. They have these new virtual reality headsets now. They're like $4,000. And they're already plugged into this and they feel completely comfortable in there. In fact, they'd rather stay there. They don't even want to eat. So how will they eat? Oh, we'll just plug an umbilical cord into you and give you the nutrients you need. Lay in this bath of amniotic fluid and forget this world. Just go to sleep. And somewhere in there, the devil will be siphoning off your energy like a vampire. And of course, you will have given up your ticket to heaven because you've given in to the beast. Right? So this is what I believe will be the ultimate goal of these people. As we approach the very end times, we will reach a singularity of, I guess you would call it virtual reality, where virtual reality becomes reality, right? Instead of virtual reality, it will be reality. Now, I hope you guys are tracking on this because this is very, very important. It will sound good. They will say, look, no disease. You don't have to worry about the environment. You'll have the minimum impact on the environment because you'll be in an enclosed environment. We'll give you the oxygen you need, the food you need, plug you into an umbilical cord, and you can just veg out and you can do whatever you want. And literally, they will say there are no victims in this reality, so you can do whatever you want. And this is where peoples will just fall into their sin, right? They'll do whatever they want because there are no victims. They can kill people, they can do bad things to children, all those things. So, of course, that would break God's heart. And that would be something that you could lose your salvation getting involved in, but people will do it. Now let's read about this. Let's get back into this headline here. So, Neuralink's first human patient able to control mouse through thinking, Musk says. Let's read this very carefully. Now, we had broken down the logo. It's a serpent wrapped around a pole when you turn this sideways. Neuralink. The first human patient implanted with a brain chip from Neuralink appears to have fully recovered and is able to control a computer mouse using their thoughts. Progress is good, and the patient seems to have made a full recovery with no ill effects that we are aware of. Patient is able to move a mouse around on the screen by just thinking it. They have broken through, this is huge, they have broken through the consciousness barrier. This is what this amounts to. The consciousness barrier. They are now in your thoughts, because think about it. If you can control something with your thoughts, that manifests into reality, then they can do the opposite. They can get into your thoughts from our reality. Right? Let's keep reading, because they're going to talk about a part here about curing disease. Musk said Neuralink was now trying to get as many mouse button clicks as possible from the patient. Neuralink did not immediately reply to Reuters' request for further details. The firm successfully implanted a chip on its first human patient last month after receiving approval for human trial recruitment in September. The study uses a robot to surgically place a brain-computer interface implant in a region of the brain that controls the intention to move. Neuralink has said, adding that the initial goal is to enable people to control a computer cursor or keyboard using their thoughts. Musk has grand ambitions for Neuralink, saying it would facilitate speedy surgical insertions of its chip devices to treat conditions like obesity, autism, depression, and schizophrenia. Musk is really shaping up to be an Christ-like figure, isn't he? But we know there is only one Christ. So anyone who comes in his name claiming to cure diseases has to be an Antichrist figure. Now, this is all about bioelectronics. The guy that Trump hired to head up Warp Speed, Moncef Slaoui is his name, was talking all about this, about using chips to cure disease. And what he said was he would use frequencies to hack the vagus nerve and cure disease. Everything on this channel means something. So it's really important to show up every day and watch these videos because it all connects together. Now you know why I was making a big deal out of Moncef Slaoui when Trump hired him to do Warp Speed and make the vaccine. Because the guy had a history of focusing on bioelectronics and hacking the vagus nerve. That was very important. Now let's keep reading here. Neuralink, which was valued at $5 billion last year, has faced repeated calls for scrutiny regarding its safety protocols. So they make it look like they're in trouble, on the verge of, whatever, but really that's just damage control, right? Now let's get into some other stuff going on today. If you guys want to get ready for a laugh, apparently Madonna fell off a chair in a concert. Now this is crazy. Look at her. She's wearing like snakeskin outfit here. 65 years old. Let's play this. Look at this. It's a whoop, 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 whoop. Look at this. Let me rewind it. So, first of all, what kind of choreography is this? To drag her on two legs of a chair. Whoop, whoop. Probably those red bottom shoes he's wearing. Very slippery. And watch this. The crazy thing is, she doesn't even skip a beat during this pre-recorded performance. And it was obvious to everyone there that it was pre-recorded. Milli Vanilli would be proud, right? Whoa. And then, I guess this guy forgot how to, what it means to be a gentleman, right? Because the first thing that most normal men do, or whatever this guy is you see a woman fall on the ground and you help her, right? Well, watch this. Welcome to clown world. Whoa. He just walks away. I don't know what this is. I think it's a man dressed as a woman. Oh boy. A man in high heels. I have no idea what's going on. He just stands there and looks at her. And this is what happens when morality begins to break down in our world, right? When the lines are blurred between God's original plan and the plan that we are supposed to be, or the plan that they are trying to enact upon us, right? Because the guy probably thought, oh, maybe she'd be offended if I helped her up. Maybe she would pull a Karen on me and be like, I don't need help. You know what I mean? So everything gets confused So let's watch this here. She just lays on the ground. She's like looking at him. He's just standing there. And then, sure enough, this guy, her other dancer, goes to help her up. They're all just staring at her. I mean, she's like, get off me. So I was proven correct. I don't need help. I'm your equal. Get off me. And she doesn't skip a beat. So that's what happened to Madonna on stage. Now, I'm not going to read this story, but look at this outfit. It looks like diamonds or snake skin or something. Just pure witchery going on here. Wow, unbelievable. So let me go back to the chat and get your guys' reaction to all this. What the heck is going on? Welcome to Clown World, right? Milli Vanilli would be impressed. Now, the only thing that Milli Vanilli did wrong is they got caught. Number one. Number two, it wasn't really their voice. So, maybe it was staged. She has a knee brace on. Spiked heels. Boy. Yeah, she's like 65 years old. Oh, boy. Now, we've been talking all about zombies. And there's something going on with this. Remember we were talking about zombies melting out of the permafrost or zombies coming in through a comet? Well, we were also talking about viruses coming in through the permafrost, melting out of the permafrost. We were just talking about this. Well, here we are, February 18, 2024. This couple is trying to keep killer zombie viruses at bay and protect us from another pandemic. So now they are making the connection, right? Let's read this. This is important. Jean-Michel Claverie was already at retirement age when he traveled to Siberia to hunt for ancient viruses in the Arctic. After a long career as a research scientist and 25 years since he had set up a laboratory outside Marseille with his wife Chantal, he could have put his feet up. He and Abigail, who was 62, commute to their lab from a comfortable house near the pretty harbor town of Cassis. But Claverie, who was about to turn 70, had no intention of hanging up his lab coat. It takes days, several flights, and a ride in a rickety boat made from old warplane parts to reach the banks of Kalmia River west of Chersky, a remote town not far from the East Siberian Sea. So basically, they talk about their journey up into the Arctic Circle to find the secrets that are frozen in the deep. So do you see the setup now? Maybe they'll say that a comet brought the disease and dropped it on Earth and it stayed frozen in the permafrost. That's what they'll say. They'll say a comet from a long time ago made a close approach and dropped this pathogen, and now it's melting because of global warming. That's what they'll say. It says here there are river banks exposing Earth that was frozen from 30,000 years ago. A layer of this hardened soil and sand known as permafrost lies beneath the Earth's surface across vast areas of the northern hemisphere, largely in the Arctic regions of Russia, Scandinavia, and North America. Places such as Chersky, the permafrost stays below freezing, even while the summers are hot and the surface landscape verdant. So here's the setup. Climate change and rising temperatures mean that permafrost is now thawing. As a result, powers including Russia, China, and U.S. are stepping up efforts to drill and dig through it in pursuit of precious metals and fossil fuels. Suspended within this thinning layer, however, are the preserved remnants of prehistoric life. Some of it, including viruses, may yet return from the dead with unknown consequences. So these two scientists think they're going to save the world by digging into the permafrost. Oh boy. Inside a small lab with a yellow biohazard danger sign on the door alongside the logo for Back to the Future film. What? Claverie pulls a small plastic bag out of a freezer. It contains what looks like the damp remains of a sandcastle. It is in fact thawed Siberian permafrost. During his 2-week field trip, Clavery's team used a drill with a cup-shaped coring bit to prize more than 20 such samples from the banks of Colmia. So these people are literally, this is the setup here, is that they get infected, right? They're looking for this stuff, but what kind of precautions are they taking? They're literally digging this stuff out of the ground. And this will be what they say happened. It escaped, right? Then they bring it back to their lab and then infect everybody. So, it says here, they're searching for potential dangers now emerging from the frozen north, including what have become known as zombie viruses. Now, I went down a crazy rabbit hole yesterday, watching a particular doctor on Rumble. One of you sent me a link, and I don't know what to make of this yet, but it's really creepy. Because this doctor was talking all about viruses and venom, snake venom, and rabies, and disease X, and the Marburg virus. And then these stories pop into my feed. We're going to read another story about a Gila monster, which was also mentioned in his video from last night that I was watching, as being an ingredient in something. A Gila monster killed his owner by biting him. So, weird, right? That particular doctor also mentioned movie programming. And everything else we just talked about. He talks about rabies, contaminated dark water, tumors, blood clots, heart conditions. So it seems like this guy is on to something. Now, let's keep reading here. And I'm not telling you his name intentionally, because if I start talking about that, then, YouTube will come through and then we won't have a voice anymore, right? But this is crazy. Let's keep reading here. The real danger would be to be confronted. Who writes this stuff? Gosh, the real danger would be to be confronted with viruses we've never seen before. Clavery tells me in the lab, where low winter sun streams through a high window. He points out that we still don't know for certain what role viruses might have played in the demise of major species, such as Neanderthals and woolly rhinos. And consider, he says, the huge efforts required to suppress pathogens already familiar to science, such as coronaviruses. So, think about a totally new virus that might have caused extinction. What if it comes back? Boy. So, I'll put a link to this story. Here's him and his wife. And, they're gonna save the world by digging up these viruses out of the permafrost. I don't see any protective equipment. Look at them. They literally, no gloves. See, this is all programming so that when they say this is how it released, well, you'll be like, well, no wonder it released. Wow, just crazy. Mad scientists. Now, what else do we have in the headlines today? Well, let's check in on Trump. His GoFundMe by the MAGA crowd. It's up to several $100,000 now, like $500,000. Welcome to the world where a billionaire gets donations from poor people to pay for phony fines. And all this is fueled by the desire to win the contest, to win against the Democrats at any cost. And if it takes making Donald Trump richer than he already is, let's do it. This is the fallacy of the right-left paradigm. This is how they manipulate and control people and continue to take our money and our labor and our time. So what's going on here? Well, of course, the left is coming out saying, you can't raise money for him. That's part of it too. It's part of the paradigm. It's to piss off the right. It's to make the right upset and go, sure he can. Sure we can. We'll donate even more. Now, they all wrote in to GoFundMe and said, you have to pull his fundraiser. That's not fair. He has to pay his fine. And GoFundMe says, nope. For now, his GoFundMe is legal. It's within their terms and conditions. Now, the big setup here also is that who should even get to decide under what premise you raise money, right? Are they now going to start making rules on who can and cannot raise money? We saw it happen in Canada, you guys, with the truckers. They tried to raise money for the truckers to protest, and they came through and basically confiscated the GoFundMe money that everybody, had gifted to the truckers to keep the protest going. So here's another setup. Now this affects me directly. Many of you, have signed up for our fundraiser, which is basically an ongoing fundraiser to help support free thought. And what if they came through and said, you can't do that anymore? Well, that's part of the way I support myself, to keep coming back on here and sharing all this stuff, right? So essentially it's thought control, because if you can't afford to spend your time decoding these people, then you don't have the time. So then you become silenced, in effect. So let's read a little bit about this. In the aftermath of Trump's being slammed with a whopping $355 million fine for fraudulently inflating his assets in the court, his MAGA supporters started raising funds via GoFundMe. The page, launched by Elena Cardone, the wife of real estate agent mogul Grant Cardone, has since raised $500,000 and counting. However, several individuals took to social media to call out GoFundMe, saying the fundraiser violates their policy. Some even put up screenshots of the company's terms of service in a bid to draw their attention to their complaints. So this is thought police. Okay. As much as I think it's ridiculous that people would donate to a billionaire, he still has the right to do that, right? It's the people who are deceived that's the problem. Anybody should do a GoFundMe for anything, as long as it's not for an illegal activity, right? As long as it's not to, I don't know, I can't even think of an example, to do crimes or something. But anything short of that, it should be completely legal to do. So here we go, you guys. Remember, Trump represents the fall guy for the right. This is everything that he does is a macrocosm of what they'll do to us later. They'll be able to pull GoFundMes. They'll be able to fine you exorbitant amounts of money for thought crimes, which is all this is happening to Trump, so that they can roll it out to the rest of us, right? Focusing on, audits and court cases. This is what they want to do to the rest of us. So now the article goes on and basically makes fun of the MAGA crowd. And it says, well, you guys can raise all the money you want, but literally the little bit of money you raised won't even cover the interest. So this is supposed to gaslight the right to make you want to donate more to overcome poor Donald Trump, right? So don't fall for this, you guys. It's all manipulation and gaslighting. Now, well, let me check with you guys, and we'll get into some of these last headlines here. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for showing up today. Welcome to the Clown Show. Now, we had a lot of videos that I may pull up at some point before the vaccine was ever created. Remember during Warp Speed, I was like, you guys, this is not good. And I told you what I thought was going to happen with the vaccine. Those videos are on this channel. All I got to do is go back and look before they came out in, I guess it was Christmas 2020. And you see all the stuff we had predicted about it, about what it could do. And I remember all the Trump crowd was like, Casey, let it go. He has to make it for the Democrats. Otherwise, the Democrats will roast him. He has to make it. And I sat there with my jaw dropped to the floor going, you literally are giving him a pass of making it, even though we all know that it's, well, you guys know. And people are like, yeah, it's going to be a choice. Just leave him alone. It's a choice. It's a choice. And I kept telling you it won't be a choice. And nobody believed me. And were mad at me because I was calling him out on it. Well, watch this. Now I'm just going to read a story here. Fox News, largest ever VidCo-19 Smack the Nation study says there are increase in heart and brain conditions. Everything that we said was going to happen is now happening. They have to admit it. They say small increase in heart and brain conditions. Now, as we read through this story, can't even believe this headline. This reads to me like a damage control article. The largest VidCo-19 Smack the Nation study to date has identified some risks associated with the Smack the Nation. Ready for this? They monitored for increases in 13 different medical conditions in the period after people received the VidCo-19 Smack the Nation. The study was published in the journal SmackScene last week, found that the SmackScene was linked to a slight increase in neurological, blood and heart-related medical conditions. People who received a certain type of the Smack the Nation were found to have a higher risk of myocarditis, which is inflammation of the heart muscle. Some of the SmackScenes were linked to a higher risk of blood clots in the brain, as well as increased likelihood of Guillain-Barré syndrome, neurological disorder in which the immune system attacks the nerves. Anyone reviewing this video, I'm simply reading an article. Other potential risks include inflammation of part of the spinal cord after viral vector. Look at the list of this stuff, you guys. Inflammation and swelling in the brain and spinal cord. The size of the population in this study increased the possibility of identifying rare potential SmackScene safety signals. Single sites or regions are unlikely to have a large enough population to detect very rare signals. Wow. So down here they say that now we have to manage the risk. And you have to decide for yourself with your doctor whether or not there's a risk or benefit. Wow. When we were trying to say this 3 years ago, you got deleted. Now they're admitting it. It always comes down to risk-benefit analysis of what you are more afraid of. Wow. The SmackScene side effects or the virus itself, which can have long-term side effects in terms of brain fog, fatigue, cough, and also heart issues. Wow. So I'll put a link to this. And please pray for the people who got tricked into this on some level, because it's not their fault. People perish because of lack of knowledge. People perish also because they sometimes allow their ego and politics to shape their decisions. Now, again, last night I went through this crazy Smack the Nation rabbit hole, and I was telling you about that particular doctor. Well, he had mentioned Gila monsters. Well, look at this. Rare incident. This is just broke yesterday. Rare incident. Colorado man dies after his pet Gila monster bit him. Now, I didn't know Gila monsters could kill you. I knew people kept them as pets. 34-year-old Colorado man died early this month, days after one of his 2 pet Gila monsters bit him. Police said Tuesday that Jeff Com and Emergency Communications Center in Jefferson County received 911 call with regards to an animal bite. Right before midnight, it looks like. The bite was later determined to be that of his pet Gila monster, and the victim was transported to the hospital, where he died 4 days later. They did not identify the victim. Wow, 34-year-old male did not survive over the weekend. Wow. 26 spiders, all of different species, were also present at the victim's home, were taken by animal control, adding that the animals were being kept illegally and were not allowed in the city of Lakewood. Boy. Gila monsters are venomous reptiles and are one of the only 2 venomous lizards in the world. Largest lizards in the U.S., they are named after the Gila River in Arizona and are solitary creatures that live in desert and semi-desert areas. Despite being poisonous, the Gila lizard bites are not normally fatal for humans, though they can be painful. Wow. So, last fatal case was in 1930. Huh. Interesting. Wow. Now, what else do we have here? Well, here's another reason to quit gambling. Look at this. U.S. casinos won $666 billion. Well, it's a 5, but 555 is 666. So this essentially reads $66.6 billion in 2023, their best year ever, as gamblers showed no economic fear. Now, a lot of this gambling, and I won't tell you this, a lot of it is fueled by the Super Bowl. Lots of betting going on. I bet you if they showed you how much of this 666 billion was of the Super Bowl betting, I bet you a good portion of it, I would say 10 to 20% or maybe even more, was during Super Bowl. Super Bowl is like their Christmas, basically. So, there you go. America's commercial casinos won $66.6 billion from gamblers in 2023, the industry's best year ever, according to figures released by the National Trade Commission. So what this amounts to is the fix. This is what's going on. It's fixed. It's rigged against you. Because if it wasn't rigged against you, then you would see like some years where the casinos lost money and some years where they won money, right? It would be 50-50. But how is it that they keep winning against you? And why would you want to bet money when you know the odds are against you, right? Now, this $66 billion doesn't even include all the money that they make off of you in hotel, food, entertainment. They're making billions and billions more, even on top of this. So, another reason to quit gambling, it's all fixed. It's like the fake sports and the fake everything else. Now, let me go back to the chat. Tomorrow, we will get into the astronomical alignment of all the planets next to the eclipse that's coming up on April 8th. Here it is right here in Stellarium. All the planets line up with the eclipse. What will that look like when the sun darkens? Well, we're going to live stream the eclipse on April 8th. Let's see how far away we are. Here's the countdown. We are 47 days away. I wonder if we'll be able to see all the planets as the sun darkens. I guess we're going to see. Let's go into the chat here. Good morning, everybody. Oh, boy. Where will you be able to send me information? I put my email address in the About section of the channel. I'm not going to put it here because then I get trolled. But if you want my email address, it's in the About section of the channel. I think my personal opinion is that the eclipse will kick off their disease X, which the particular doctor I was mentioning to you mentioned the Marburg virus, where you bleed out of your eyes and mouth, which is like a zombie. So it will be like a zombie apocalypse. That is my personal feeling. I don't like to try to predict things, but all of the programming seems to be pointing towards something to that effect. All right. Yeah, I'll be watching the eclipse with my wife. So you guys will probably get to talk to her. So that'll be cool. All right. What else is going on? Yeah, please always, if you send me anything, please always do a short description. I won't look at just a link. Give me like 2 sentences, and then that's what I'll look at. So Prince William made an appeal for Israel Hamas war to cease. Oh, okay. That's interesting. All right. All right, you guys. Well, tomorrow, let's get into the eclipse and all of that and all of our comet videos that we did over the years. I love each and every one of you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care.